My name is Joseph Hamel. I was born in 1922, July, and moved into Incarnation Parish 5 days after birth. My parents had just moved into a new home on the 41st, home that they raised 10 children, all of whom attended and graduated from Incarnation School. It was said that you could find a Hamel kid any time of the day somewhere, 41st and Pleasant and 38th. Because of the short distance, we all walked home for lunch every day. It seemed that our whole life was church, school, home, church, school, home. All of our activities, basketball, serving Mass, attending various meetings, brought us down to 38th and Pleasant. All of us were taught by nuns, with the exception of Mr. Pink, who was our athletic director, and a woman who came in once a week as an elocution collector. The size of the classes were somewhere between 30 and sometimes even 40 students. On Sunday, we had a children's Mass at 9 o'clock. We sat in a designated area that our school homeroom teacher presided. We didn't move, we genuflected when we were supposed to, unless we felt a finger on our back to prod us into getting into a kneeling position. I can remember the pews that my father and mother sat in. At that time, they were labeled and their names were placed on the pews. I still remember today exactly where that was. I make it a point for many years to attend Mass during the Christmas time at Incarnation. I'm not an expert on churches throughout the world, but I don't know of a more beautiful setting than Incarnation Church, especially during Christmas with all the lights and the trees. All of us boys, sooner or later, became altar boys. We learned the Latin at our father's knee. My father, who was a physician, took a classical training in college. He took Greek and Latin, so he was an expert at that. We served Mass through high school, and many of us even served as acolytes during our college years at the University of St. Thomas, because on Sunday at 11 o'clock there was solemn high Mass, 3 priests on the altar. As I recall, during the Depression years in the 30s, when we were attending school, Monsignor Clary was our pastor. I don't recall ever that there was less than 4 or 5 priests in this parish. Father Phelan, Father Ryan, Father John O'Sullivan, and many wonderful people. They became a part of us in every way. They came into the classroom and we communicated with them at basketball games, at choir practice. In fact, when I was in 8th grade, we had a grade school orchestra. I played the cello, and Chester Campbell, who for years was the choir director here, directed that small orchestra. Most of our days, as I say, were spent in the area of school. We spent a lot of time at Nicollet Field, which is now named Martin Luther King Field, especially in the winter time, skating and playing hockey. As I recall, approximately 90% of my graduates went on to high school and to college. In those days, there were 2 graduations from grade school, one in June and one in January. How this got started, I'm not sure, but fortunately it was corrected shortly after that. Many of us had to pick up a half year in high school or go 4.5 years to finish our high school. Some of us went to University High during the summer, and so that we were able to finish St. Thomas Academy, where I attended in 3.5 years. All 5 of my sisters attended Holy Angels. For 20 years, there was a Hamel girl at Holy Angels Academy. As I recall, there wasn't any tuition in grade school. The nuns weren't on Social Security. I don't think they had any health care. I found that out later on when I was treating many of them in my office. My father was very privileged to take care of many of those nuns for years. Dad first started his practice in the Holy Rosary at the Dominican parish and got to know many of the Dominican priests there. I have retained many of the friends that I made at Incarnation Grade School. In fact, we have a picture taken about 1933 of our class, and I could name every boy on that group. Not all of the girls, although some of the girls later turned out to be my patients. But as I recall, there was 1 priest in our group, 3 physicians, many men and engineers, and more than a half a dozen who went on to be heads of their own private companies. So we certainly thought that we had excellent basic education to go on with higher studies later on. As I say, this was during the Depression time. After Sunday Mass, invariably some of us Hamel kids would join my father as he would go down to St. Mary's Hospital and make rounds before our Sunday dinner. I recall many times when he would stop at a filling station, fill up his car with gas, and I'd say, "Dad, you didn't pay for that." "Well," he said, "they're patients of mine. They owe me money." Or he'd stop at a bakery and come out with 2 sacks of cookies and bread and say, "Yes, they are patients of mine. They owe me money." Barter was the word at that time. We had people who would come to the house with the 10 Hamel kids. One was a barber. He'd come on Sunday afternoon and cut all of us 5 boys' hair. He was a patient of mine. This isn't bad, and even today, many physicians, I'm sure, would welcome this. Our athletic events were not anywhere near they are today. We didn't have any games on Saturday or Sunday or holidays, and we did play teams from Holy Cross, from Ascension Parish, and we thought we had a pretty good baseball team back in the 30s. Some of those boys, as I recall, went on to St. Thomas, and a couple of them went on to play sports at Notre Dame. We dispersed from grade school. Many of the boys went to De La Salle. Some of us went to St. Thomas Academy. Some went to Central High School. Some went to Washburn. But interestingly, after high school, we recollected at the College of St. Thomas. Monsignor James Moynihan was the president of St. Thomas when I started pre-med in 1939. Later on, he became pastor here at Incarnation. In 1917, Monsignor, who was a wild Irishman with a great outdoor experience, built a cabin up in northern Minnesota, the first log cabin on Whitefish Lake. I had eyed this all my life and begged him to call me when he was going to sell it. In 1957, I got a call. Monsignor was not well. He was ready to sell his cabin. I purchased that cabin in 1957 and have enjoyed 52 wonderful years with my 6 children up there. Monsignor was a scholar. He taught us Latin at St. Thomas and was aware when we were using the pony and didn't make the translation ourselves.